today I had the great fortune to be talking to Joe Shapiro, who is an investigative correspondent at NPR and the author of book of the disability community, No Pity. So welcome, Joe.
Liz, I've wanted to do this for a while, so thank you for having me.
You're welcome. The first question is, what do you think are the most important issues that we as the disability movement will face in the next 30 years?
Well, I think they're going to be similar to the issues that the movement's faced in the 30 years since the ADA passed, but they may be more intense. So it's going to be things like employment. Gains have been slow, much slower than was expected when the ADA became law, and holding on to government programs, right? People with disabilities rely upon them: healthcare, Medicaid, Social Security, long-term care supports and services. Every American family depends upon those programs at some point, but they're not well understood and they come with costs. So there are going to be constant fights to prevent cuts. I think the trick will be to get Americans to understand that the ADA isn't just protections for some small group of people with disabilities over there. It's something for everyone, that we all benefit from its protections. It's created a more inclusive world, a world that values difference and inclusion. It's reshaped our physical environment. You know, my apartment building here, just this year, put in a ramp. And the woman down the hall who needed an unexpected knee surgery this year, now she can still go out and walk her dog. It means I can age in place in this apartment. So thanks, disability movement.
What do you worry about for people with disability in this COVID-19 times?
Well, first, right, for people's health and for their lives. I mean, who's most likely to be hospitalized? 90% of the people who get hospitalized for COVID-19 are people with what they call underlying health conditions, right? So that's according to the Centers for Disease Control. At the beginning of the pandemic, we worried, would elderly and disabled people get ventilators? And the disability community rallied to fight that, to change state policies to make sure that people with disabilities weren't put at the end of the line for treatment. There's still been unequal treatment in other ways, like access to testing. Matt Dietz, a disability rights attorney in Miami, pointed out that we've set up these drive-through testing clinics, but many of the people who need the tests the most, people with disabilities, people living in congregate care settings, nursing homes, they may not have a car or the ability to get out of their homes and get to these clinics.
What advice would you give to the disability community to help society understand that it's not good to live in segregated setting like nursing home or group home?
Well, so I don't usually give advice. I don't give advice to the disability community. Usually I'm taking advice, right, from the disability community. And as for living in segregated settings, I hear disabled people say they want to be included, right? They want to live in integrated communities, integrated settings, because that's when you have the best chance of being part of your community, to be part of daily life, to live the life that you want. And that was the goal of the ADA, to create an inclusive society where people with disabilities had an equitable chance at opportunities.
I have to agree with you, and thank you very much for your time, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you, Liz.
Again, Joe. Bye.
Thank you, Liz.